Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll look at yesterday's ruling regarding campaign finance allegations against Attorney General Tom Horne. We'll hear from minority legislative leaders on what could be the final week of the legislative session, and we'll look at a new report on forest thinning in Arizona. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. An administrative law judge ruled yesterday that prosecutors failed to prove alleged campaign finance violations by Attorney General Tom Horne and an aide, Kathleen Wynne. Local attorney Lee Miller is here to talk about the case and the judge's ruling. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. Okay, they were accused of illegal coordination between a candidate and an independent campaign committee, correct?
Correct.
And what did the judge say yesterday?
That there was a lot of communication between Mr. Horne and the chairwoman of the Independent Expenditure Committee, but the government didn't prove that it was more likely than not that that communication involved politics in the Attorney General's race, and therefore she decided that no laws had been violated.
So, and she wrote that the prosecutors failed to establish preponderance of evidence. What constitutes a preponderance of evidence?
Preponderance of the evidence is the lowest standard of proof that the law uses. It's most commonly described as more likely than not, or 51%. Whatever side gets 51% of the equation has achieved a preponderance.
So compare it to like a grand jury indictment, the old ham sandwich argument.
Indictments, you have to have a reasonable belief that an individual committed a crime. To convict somebody of a crime, you have to use the highest standard of proof beyond a shadow of a doubt, which means there can be no alternative explanation other than guilt.
So this one really is the lowest possible bar, isn't it? 51 to 49,
that's
it.
It's an administrative action. There's no criminal punishment involved, and it's really the lowest hurdle the government has to try and get over.
So with all of these records of phone calls and emails, the timing of the phone calls, the timing of the emails, the judge said, not enough?
Not enough, because Mr. Horne and Ms. Wynne and the folks that were working with them and for them provided what the judge felt were reasonable alternative explanations for all the communication back and forth.
And reasonable means, and I'm going to give you 4 instances here very quickly. We'll just run through these. Horne calls Wynne. 2 minutes later, she calls ad director with script change. Wynne calls Horne. 2 minutes later, she emails ad director with script change. Horne calls Wynne. Wynne immediately emails ad director with script changes. Horne attempts to send email chain to Wynne regarding the campaign. Those are just 4 of the things that were mentioned in this particular case. Judge says it's plausible that in each case the campaign was not part of the conversation.
Yes, because the lawyers for Mr. Horne and Ms. Wynne also established that at the same time all of this communication was going on, Mr. Horne was trying to close a complicated real estate transaction. Ms. Wynne was a very experienced real estate professional who was helping him with that transaction. And as anybody who's tried to close a real estate deal knows, it's not surprising that there's lots of small issues that require quick phone calls.
And it sounds like the administrative law judge said the prosecutor's case is plausible, but it sounds like slightly more plausible are the sayings,
Right. In the way our justice system is supposed to work is the government has to win. The government doesn't get the benefit of a tie. It has to get over the hurdle, not just on top of the hurdle. And here the judge said close, but not enough. So
she vacates the order to repay the donors $400,000, correct?
Correct.
And what about the idea of a $1.2 million fine?
Well, if they don't find inappropriate illegal coordination between the candidate committee and the Independent Expenditure Committee, then you can't get to the punitive part of the statute. So that just fades away on its own.
Now, does the county attorney, Sheila Polk, Yavapai County Attorney's Office, does she still have options? I understand that she can either accept, reject, or modify. How do you modify something like this?
In this particular case, it's unlikely she's going to modify the judge's holding. Modify is sort of a standard boilerplate part of the conversation in an administrative hearing. She may simply agree with the administrative law judge, or she may just completely disagree. County Attorney Polk's perfectly entitled to say, the ALJ got it wrong, my folks got it right, and I'm ordering the fines to be reinstated.
We have just a few minutes left here. Would you be surprised if this case were pursued?
You have to balance, I think County Attorney Polk's balancing, trying to do justice here, and efficiency and politics.
Yeah.
Mr. Horn and Ms. Wynn have been fighting this case for coming up on 3 years, and amazingly enough, that puts us very close to an election, and maybe it might not be easier for the voters to settle the matter.
Last question. Were you surprised by this decision?
Yes. The government generally can get to a place where folks are better off settling, better off agreeing that, well, maybe we didn't do it as well as we could. Mr. Horn and Ms. Wynn, to their credit, fought it to the end and were successful, but that was a big challenge for them and
A little surprising.
a little surprising.
All right. Lee, it's good to have you here. Thanks
Thank you
for
very
joining
much.
us.
Glad to be here.
Things are moving fast at the state capitol as lawmakers try to wrap up the 2014 session by powering through a number of bills. Joining us now to update what's going on is Senate Minority Leader Anna Tovar and House Minority Leader Chad Campbell. Good to see you both again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
What's happening down there right now?
Wow, there's a lot of bills that are being resurrected. Some of us call them zombie bills because we all know that a bill is not dead until we sine die. So we are seeing some particular bills that are concerning to Arizonans.
Which ones?
Well, in particular, one that we were able to defeat today on the floor was the Grand Canyon University, and that gives a particular tax credit to this private university. At the same time, we are struggling to fund our public universities here in the state of Arizona. So it is a bit disconcerting that we have a bill that's going to be moving forward that gives a tax credit but places the burden on middle class and lower class families that live around Grand Canyon University.
Indeed, reclassifies the property tax there would save Grand Canyon, I think, $750,000 a year. Were you surprised that this thing came back to life? Because I thought rules were, the attorneys were basically saying this can't go.
Yeah, they did, but that doesn't really stop bad ideas from moving forward in the legislature. Again, I think that the motto sometimes from the majority party down at the Capitol is Constitution, Smonstitution. They really don't care about that. A lot of times you'll see them pushing forward an agenda regardless of whether or not the rules attorneys say it's actually legal. And we see this all the time, you know, to Senator Tovar's point. We rush through these last 2 weeks of session. We run through hundreds of bills. And a lot of times this is where mistakes are made, and we have to come back the next year and fix it. And that's why we have to fix this process. It's absolutely detrimental to the public.
Okay, so how many bills are being considered this week in the House? And are you able to read all of these things and get input on all of these things?
I mean, it's tough. Today, for instance, we probably did about 60 plus bills between third read and final passage. And that's a lot of bills in one day. We were on the floor today for about 6.5 hours. And you know, we do our best. We read the bills, but again, when you're getting the agenda late the night before, sometimes you get bills thrown on the day of the floor hearing, and you don't have time to look at it, especially as the minority party. And so we're doing the best job we can, but this process could be fixed if the majority wanted to fix it, and it needs to be fixed. It is not an efficient process.
How would it be fixed?
We could put in timelines, we could make the session even longer if we have to, but the best way to do this is limit the number of bills each legislator can introduce to 10 or lower. That'll solve this problem.
That makes sense to you?
Absolutely. The issue of transparency is huge. In these last remaining, days of the legislature, there's so much that is going to be introduced. As we saw last year, the voter suppression bill was ran through in the middle of the night, had mistakes. We are currently still trying to fix those mistakes that happen with bills like that. So it definitely is frustrating, but the issue of transparency is non-existent right now for the public, and that's something that they should be truly concerned about.
So how many bills is the Senate looking at right now?
We're about equal to the House in the amount of bills that we are discussing on a daily basis, and also third reading. So, the process in other states, the budget is done with great care and transparency, and here you see that it is just the opposite here in the state of Arizona. The Republican-led legislature uses these bills, to make sure that they get the budget passed that they want, and then they address the bills.
The idea, I know you call it the voter suppression bill, we'll call it the election law changes. Let's just refer to it that for now. Is there any chance of any of that returning here in the last waning days?
Well, we are ready, and we anticipate, like last year, it was at the 11th hour when something came in. So we are very vigilant, and we have our ears and making sure that we are listening to all the amendments that are being dropped. But this is an issue that is truly concerning, and it's something that we will be proactive in making sure that, voter suppression amendments do not see the light of day.
Aspects of that bill, anything you see likely to return, threatening to return?
I would hope not. I think that the public outcry last year and the referendum and everything else woke up the majority party to the fact that people are starting to pay attention to what's going on down there. And I think people don't want their rights taken away, especially when it comes to voting, and they see the intrinsic value of having a transparent process and a fairly easy process to be able to participate in democracy. So I'm hoping that the attacks on voter rights are kind of put to bed. But again, as Senator Tovar pointed out, nothing ever dies down there until we actually sign dies. So you just have to be on top of everything.
What about the voucher system, the empowerment scholarship accounts, as they call them? Others call them vouchers. This thing was debated, and the idea to expand to almost half the students in Arizona. Where's that stand now? Is that coming back?
Yes, well, it's currently in the process. We did cow one of the bills today, but essentially what the ESA bills do, it is a detriment to public education. I asked for a amount of how much the ESAs are currently being, what their accounts are. It took us about 7.5 weeks to get that information from the Department of Education. But since we have the information, there's over $2 million in those ESA accounts that are being essentially are tax giveaways to our parents that go unaccounted for. They're not held to the same standards as our public school system. There's an additional up to about 2,400 students that have applied for the ESA scholarships, and next year it would be up to $4 million, a hit to the general fund of $4 million, and that's money that's not going to our public education system.
And yet supporters will say that is money that goes to parents and families, allowing them to make a choice for what's best for their kids.
Well, they can make the choice, but it's not held to the same standards. Anyone can hire a person off the street and have them become a teacher. I mean, they're not held to the same standards as taxpayers would assume that our money would be spent wisely, but again, there's no accountability for these funds.
Is this bill likely to return?
Probably. I mean, yes, I think it will. And I think it's a deeper attack and a deeper agenda, as Anna pointed out, on the public school system in the state. And we've seen it with the ESA accounts. We've seen it with the student tuition organization program that we have here in the state. This is a philosophical battle, let there be no doubt about that. And I think the majority party, at least the leadership of the majority party and the people who are elected from the Republican side right now at the Capitol, really truly do not seem to value the public school system. And I think they are going to keep chipping away at that school system and keep shifting public dollars away from that traditional model to these unproven charter schools, to private schools, whatever it may be. But there's no trend that's changed over the past 5 or 6 years. They are continuing to attack public schools on an almost daily basis.
And yet I read in the Arizona Capital Times where this program that I think Superintendent Huppenthal was involved in as far
Yeah.
as robocalls to get people to sign up for these vouchers, if you will, proved to be a mild, if not a big success. If parents were interested in this program.
If you think that that's a success in terms of shifting people to these schools, yes. But again, the problem we have in the state is it's twofold right now. First of all, you have the superintendent of public instruction in this case promoting schools that aren't under his purview, which I think is contradictory to his role. That's a problem right there. But secondly, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that parents are going to start looking for other alternatives from the traditional school that's failing when the people down there aren't going to support the schools that are failing and give them the money they need. So they are making sure these schools fail so that parents have no other alternative except to look for other options. This is an agenda, let there be no doubt about it.
We're talking about $3 billion that have been cut for public education since 2008. We've seen our class sizes balloon. We've seen our infrastructure needs at our schools crumbling. I mean, essentially, the public schools are crying out for help. And essentially what is happening, as Representative Campbell said, is correct. That money is being funneled to private schools, ignoring the needs and the wants of our public school education system. If we want a world-class economy, that's going to involve an investment in our public education system. Our kids deserve better, essentially, than what is being given to them right now.
Real quickly, before we go, we just talked about the administrative law judge ruling on Tom Horn. I know there's a bill that would get clean elections out of the idea of having authority over privately funded candidates. Your thoughts on that?
Well, essentially, there's much work to be done on the clean election system as well. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done on that issue, and I'm hopeful that we can roll up our sleeves and come to a solution, but it doesn't look like anything will happen in this session.
And to that issue in particular, I think that was the get out of jail free pass for Tom Horn, period. That's what that was.
Okay, so, but we got the decision by the judge. We don't know what the prosecutor's
Yeah.
going to do right now.
Yeah.
Does this particular piece of legislation have much of a shot?
Oh yeah, it does, and that's something we're hoping to stop. But you know, again, we see this at the end of the session. In this case, it has to deal with Tom Horn. In other cases, it deals with actual institutions or entities out there. You see all of this special legislation being shoved through the end in the middle of the night that benefit either one person or a small group of people, and it's not doing any benefit for the state. It is truly special interest legislation, period.
Last question, as far as the budget, everything this session so far, how much input did Democrats have?
Well, we had input, and we gave our list of priorities, and we feel that the budget that was passed by the Republican definitely shortchanges the state of Arizona. It shortchanges our children, our economy, and in no way invest in our economy to move Arizona forward. So it definitely is sad to see that they moved a budget that doesn't address the vital needs of the state of Arizona.
Not much input at all? And if that's the case, how do you change that?
People need to vote and start putting moderate Republicans and Democrats back in charge. I mean, we actually spent time today debating on the floor of the House about the ranchers in Nevada and what patriots they are, the people who said they were going to put women in the front of the guns, these patriots. We had Republicans defending these people during our debates today. First of all, this isn't Nevada. Second of all, that's not our issue. We need to focus on the real issues, and I hope that the people of the state are starting to pay attention to what's going on in here. We have extremists in charge. That has to change.
It's good to see you both again. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight's Focus on Sustainability looks at forest thinning in Arizona. ASU and the Nature Conservancy teamed up to study ways to create sustainable, economically viable methods for thinning small diameter trees. Dan O'Neill is with ASU's Walton Sustainability Solutions Initiatives, and Patrick Graham is State Director of the Nature Conservancy in Arizona. Good to see you both here. Good to talk about this because it feels like we've talked about this in the past with the Four Forests Initiative and these kind of. What exactly did your study look at?
Well, we were asked by the Nature Conservancy to look at the economic viability of creating an industry around small diameter wood. The forest products industry kind of died in Arizona a number of years ago, and this is about the rebirth of such an industry, but based on small diameter wood.
How small a diameter are we talking about here?
It's up to 18 inches in general.
And as far as an impact on the forest health, getting rid of these smaller trees, it's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah, we've lost 1 million acres, a quarter of our forests, to fire in a decade. And it's not only impacting the wildlife in the forest, but it also impacts our water supplies.
And again, these things which may not have been there in the past because low-grade fires would have knocked them out, they're all over the place.
We had historically a mature ponderosa forest might have 40 to 50 trees an acre, and today we have hundreds, up to 1,000 trees per acre.
Okay, so who wants these small trees? Because one of the problems I know from doing stories on this over the years, loggers, folks in the business, wood business, they don't want the little ones, they want the big trees. So what are we doing here?
Well, a big aspect of building a new industry cluster around small diameter wood is market development. And there's a variety of different kinds of uses of small diameter wood. And what needs to happen is building and developing more and more markets for that kind of product. One example is post and pole. That's a niche that some manufacturers or some log processors have found in the Southwest for small diameter wood. So that's one example.
And again, processed wood, sawdust, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's a wide variety of uses, and in fact the forest products industry has always been pretty good at using the whole log, everything from the log. So it ranges from everything from the lumber that comes from the small diameter wood down to the slash that comes from the cutting process that can be used in things like energy generation processes.
And I mentioned the Forest Restoration Initiative, which we talked about a while back, and it seemed like it stalled out there in mid-flight, and now maybe it's getting some. Is this similar to that initiative? Compare and contrast for us.
Really, this is a piece of that. There was a period there where it was really uncertain whether or not this is going to be economically viable. Without industry, the Forest Initiative would not be able to move forward because government would have to pay potentially hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So what we wanted to do is move forward and be able to verify that in fact this is can be done economically viably, and that's why we went to the School of Sustainability.
And so how is it economically viable? What has changed? Where is the market, and why aren't they doing it now?
Well, as a matter of fact, they are beginning to do it now. There are what's needed is a cluster approach where you have a variety of different uses for the log, and you can realize value, like I say, from everything from the larger log down to the slash that results from. So it's like the key is building a cluster, and there actually are a couple of clusters that we modeled that are emerging along the rim now.
And I guess the goal is to get business in there to replace. We pay, the Forest Service pays folks to do this kind of business now, right?
Yeah, they have paid several dollars a ton, to help clear the forest. But what we saw from modeling it was that it's viable. It's possible to actually eliminate subsidy from the Forest Service.
Is it viable? Is it possible to get these small diameter trees out of there and not damage the forest with roads and these sorts of things, A, and B, not take out a bunch of big trees in the process?
Yes, I think that clearly the study supported the fact that we can do this without subsidies, and which is going to be essential because we need the Forest Initiative is proposing to do up to 1 million acres. It's really the largest project of its kind in the nation. And not only is it challenging from an economic perspective, but we also have to maintain the public trust in order to be able to move this forward. So there's a lot of other creative things that are going on, and maybe we can talk about that on another program. But yeah, there's no question that this can move forward. The environmental impact statement should be wrapped up this summer. And with that, the companies should be able to move forward with their investments and get this going.
Got it. Just a few seconds left here. Response so far from this?
It's been a lot of interest. People, it's a hopeful kind of message, and people are intrigued by it. They've been watching their forests burn for a few years and would like to see that come to an end.
All right, well, we'll see where the study takes us. It's good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for having us.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
The Global Institute of Sustainability is the heart of ASU's sustainability initiatives, advancing research, education, and business practices for an urbanizing world. Learn more about ASU sustainability at sustainability.asu.edu/TV.